Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another UKPW Insider. I am, of course, the Mouthpiece from the Southeast, or quite simply the Mouthpiece. Doesn't matter which, as long as you get it right. And today we welcome the one and only Mr. CJ Gunner. Welcome, CJ.
Hello, mate. Hello.
How you doing?
Do I have to be nice to you? Or...
I don't care. To be honest,
Good.
I can't promise I'll be nice. We'll see how it goes.
It's good to see you. It's good to see you, I must say. It's been a while.
I can't believe it's been a year.
I like the new T-shirt going down.
Representing, very proud. Yeah, it's been a year since our last show. I can't believe that's just gone so quick.
Too quick. Too quick. Yeah, I'd rather be there than here. To be fair.
I think we all would. I can't wait to get back up and running again. So yeah, how's lockdown been treating you?
Well, I'm a few pounds heavier.
I think we all are.
I feel like it made me better looking as well. So it's all right. It's good. Yeah, I got a chance to study lots of wrestling stuff. So it's been all right to watch loads of wrestling, and yeah, it's been good.
Fantastic.
It's been okay. It's been obviously it's tough on everyone, but you just deal with it.
That's it.
Time with my family, so it's nice.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's probably the big people take away from all of this, really, isn't it? They get to spend a lot more time with their family and loved ones than they normally would, apart from those who obviously, where they've been restricted from not being able to visit, loved ones that live, in a different household, etc. So,
exactly that.
Exactly. But yeah, so yeah, as I said, it's been a year since our last show. A lot's changed since then. UKPW under new management. As we know, we're going into a new era. There's got to be a lot of ring rust, I think, by the time we get another show going. As for your, I know you said you've added on a few pounds, etc. Where are you in terms of your health and fitness? Because obviously, what some people do realise and what they don't realise is we saw you officiating a lot more than competing this past year or so. Is that partly down to injuries or?
So originally, I suffered a neck injury, which I think only really Anton was aware of at the time when he was promoting. And I said, I'm not ready to get back in the ring yet, but I still want to be involved with UKPW. It's like where I want to be. Like I do want to get back into wrestling, and he said, okay, I've got some officiating stuff, so I did a bit of ring announcing, a bit of refereeing, and it was kind of my way of breaking myself back into getting in and wrestle again. It was a short injury. I got over it pretty quick. It was just the confidence to get back through the ropes, because for no one's fault, the ropes was what caused my neck injury. So that was even now I think about it, it still upsets me a little bit, because I'm like, wow, I could have killed myself just for no one's fault. It was just an outdoor show. It was a hot day. Everyone was hot and sweaty, and I slipped on the ropes, and these things happen in wrestling. And unfortunately, it put me out for a little bit. But I'm just lucky it wasn't for too long. So, and I'm fine now. I'm good.
Yeah, well, thankfully it didn't end up worse than what it was. But that's the thing. I think this is what I think many people, especially people that work within the business, get frustrated with those who are a little bit ignorant about just how dangerous wrestling is. Anything can happen. Just something so simple through nobody's fault. Just something like you said. That it was a hot, sweaty day. Slipped on the ropes. Could have been a disaster. Luckily, you're fine. You're on your way back. Yeah. We did see you compete, a couple of times towards the end of last year. We see you reunited with Buff Broadside.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of a reunion. Yeah, so, before we get back to the other questions, what is your main focus for when we relaunch? Are you raring to go? Have you got a particular goal in mind? Is there something you want to explore when we get back? Is there a particular title you want to chase? Have you got any other talent in your sights? Tag team even? What does CJ want?
So I was asked by the current UKPW management, where do I see myself? Like, I'm like, okay, I've been with UKPW a long time. I've been wrestling around just over 10 years now, and I still think I've got some gas left in the tank. And I'm like, I want to be challenging for the inter-regional title. That is, I just think the inter-regional title is my favourite title in UKPW. I think it's great. Like you say, I've been tagging as one half a heavy buff broadside, the longest reigning inter-regional champion, I think. I believe.
But by default, I think, yeah, I think
not
by
being
default,
biased, but he's the best inter-regional champ we've had.
I mean, it's interesting you say that because, I mean, if you look at, we just had Alexander Ross, you know, was the longest reigning UKPW champion in history. And if you think about it, since he lost the title to Dale Jones hasn't even had to defend it. And he's already pretty much almost caught up with Alexander. He's still got a little bit way to go. But by the time we get to another show, by default, Dale Jones could have surpassed Alexander. I mean, it's absolutely crazy this past year.
That's all we need in pro wrestling, isn't it?
Well, I'm not going to argue. I'm saying nothing. I'm saying nothing about that one. I'm really. Well, how do you feel? I mean, I know, obviously, one of the things I love about UKPW is how much management keep all of the talent involved with what's going on behind the scenes for the most part. And I mean, obviously, you've heard the rumours that some of the titles that we have in UKPW might be getting rebranded. So the Interregional Championship, for example, may not be Interregional Championship anymore going forward when we relaunch. It could be, it may not. It might become something else. Is it still that same prestige for you? Is that
I honestly hope they keep the Interregional Championship because I feel that's the most prestigious one in UKPW. It's been the most defended. It's been like the most thought of belt. Like people are wanting to challenge for that belt because it's kind of that division where everyone wants to be at.
Yeah.
In their career, you know, especially the guys that have been wrestling longer than some of the younger talent coming up. They want to fight for the Interregional because that's kind of where they get to challenge at different levels. You know, I think it's one of them belts that will stay around. Well, I hope it stays around.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to look at the list of names that have held Interregional Championship. I mean, literally, it's literally a who's who. I mean, the biggest, most well-known names in UKPW have pretty much held it at some point. But you look at people like Trashman Marcus Broom has held it. You know, Kieran Corrupt Buff Broadsides held it. Sammy Smooth, who's now gone on to NXT UK.
Yes, he has, yeah.
You know, you got all these lists of names that have held the title, and it's absolutely incredible. And I think that's, you know, you're spot on when you say about it being the title that everyone wants to hold at least once, because it kind of, if you've held that title, it's almost a stamp of approval when UKPW have to say, you know, you've held it, you are one of our main guys. 100%. So I agree.
This is the thing, like you say, main guys. I always see myself as a main guy, even though I've never been a champion in UKPW. I've never really challenged for any title. I've never really pushed myself too much. I just wanted to be a part of UKPW, really. But I just feel like going forwards, you know,
it's
I never know
in the history books to make a mark.
Yeah, and that's my goal going forward, really. And whether I tag in with Buff or going it alone, you know, I've done it before. I can do it again, you know. So I look forward to kind of hopefully being up there in the ranks. Whether UKPW management see me at that level, it's kind of up to them, really. But I'm here. If they want me, I'm here. So,
I mean, from my standpoint, who's obviously, you know, I've commentated on some of your matches, and you know, I think it's great where you're going in with this mind. Like you said, you know, you've been wrestling for around 10 years, just over 10 years. You're in this position now where you're like, okay, you've had this long break. So just like many people, because unfortunately some talent now, they've seen this lockdown, this whole COVID situation. Some have decided to step away from the business, which is a shame. And some have decided, you know, like you, who are looking at the long-term future and thinking, well, I've lost a year of my professional wrestling career. That's been taken away. So it's kind of like going back in, not taking anything for granted anymore, and going, do you know what? you know, this could potentially be my last run, my last couple of years wrestling. So it's a case of now you've got that mindset of, you know, I'm going to literally leave it all out in a minute. I'm just going to go 100%, like throw everything I've got into it.
This is exactly how I feel, especially with everything that's gone on. The whole COVID-19 and the lockdown, and it's like I need to go out there now, and I need to be relevant again. You know, it's kind of like that feel, because there's so much young talent coming up, and you kind of need to get involved and hang with them. You know, and otherwise you're just gonna sit in the background forever. So
100%, yeah. I mean, you belong in the ring. Competing. I mean, I know you've probably heard the commentary. I've criticised your officiating at the time. Your fast count, CJ. One, two,
you know, get in there, get the job done, go home.
Insane, absolutely insane. So we'll delve back into the past. So for CJ Gunner, when did everything start for you? What was your first exposure to wrestling? What was the first thing, your first memory of wrestling you ever remember as a child?
Wow, so much. Sunday afternoons, sitting with my dad, just watching the likes of like Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan. I think obviously Undertaker coming along. Eventually, watching like Rowdy Roddy Piper. When I was a kid, I loved Rowdy Roddy Piper, and you know, just the whole Scottish thing, wild man. I was like, oh, this guy's cool. Like, and then obviously him going out with Hogan and this guy all dressed in yellow and red. I was like, whoa, this guy is epic. And then I faded away a little bit. And my cousin got me back involved with watching wrestling. And it was like Stone Cold, The Rock, Shawn Michaels, Triple H. And I was like, oh, these guys are awesome. I just want to do that. I want to do that. And we spent so long just wrestling out on his front lawn before I could find a training school and stuff like that. So, yeah, basically like The Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H, the start of their careers was kind of like the start of me falling in love with wrestling, really, like fully. And yeah, just wrestling on my cousin's front lawn like a pair of idiots.
See, that's the thing, you know, you're a professional wrestler. We always got told over the years, don't try it at home. No one ever listened, did they? Let's face it, no one ever listened.
I lost many bed springs.
Oh yeah, I remember being shouted at quite a few times back in the day of making too much noise, bouncing on the bed, taking bumps on the mat. So ultimately, who's your all-time favorite wrestler? Who stands out above anyone else for you in any promotion? Who is the one wrestler who you've respected and loved above all else?
So when you say, so I have a few. So I have one which is amongst my own wrestling crew.
That's great, yeah.
And I have who I've had many bouts with over the years, who I look up to as like, oh, you're my favorite wrestler. You're like, you're up there. But my all-time favorite wrestler, if you're talking WWE, WCW, that kind of stuff, is Chris Jericho.
Okay.
On the indie scene, and my favorite guy of all time, I love to wrestle him. We've gone toe to toe many times. Is Gabriel Myers, the Hitman Gabriel Myers, and Anton Green, the Business are the current UKPW tag champs. They're my favorite tag team of all time. I've expressed that on numerous occasions. I think it's more so because over the last 4 or 5 years, Anton Green kind of like coached me a little bit, looked out for me a lot, as he did for many people. Yeah. And I look up to Anton, but obviously his tag team partner Gabe, I've had many matches with. I've never really wrestled Anton. I've had like 1 or 2 small bouts with him, but never really gone toe to toe, like 1-on-1 or anything. But me and Gabe, yeah, we've had our wars. And he's won some, I've won some. He's a beast. That's
the thing. I really can't wait until we can get the likes of Anton and Gabe to participate and do these interview segments, because a lot of people don't know. I mean, we all know Gabe is one of the most hard-hitting, destructive beast of a man in the ring. He is so tough, but yet on the outside of the ring, he's the most soft-spoken, most polite, calming people you'll ever be around. And that's what personifies what I call one of the what I like to say is almost a guy he's the perfect sort of performer. You know, when he's in the ring, it's all business and all, you know, and all that aggressive.
No pun intended.
Yeah, and literally on the flip side, in reality, he is the most nicest, calmest of people, and I love people who are able to, you know, turn it on when it's time in the ring, and you know, backstage they're the nicest of people. But Anton, I mean, obviously we've all got so much to be thankful to Anton for. I mean, Anton's kind of like almost he's a mentor in many ways to a lot of people. I mean, for me, he gave me opportunities. You know, he just kind of was just like, this is what I would like from you. You know, I trust you to go do it, and that's it. And he just kind of to do it.
And that's kind of exactly the way he treated me as well. And you know, I was in a real bad place. I was with not so nice promotions, and he kind of pulled me out of there and said, "CJ, come to UKPW. Let's go do some stuff and like be yourself. Stop being this guy that you're turning into." And I was like, "Okay, cool. I'll go." Like I committed to it, you know. And
yeah,
I'm still at UKPW now, and I came at the rebirth of UKPW when he brought it back after so many years, and I've been there ever since, and I've hardly missed a show, and it's because out of respect for him, and I wanted to be there, and I wanted to give him the best me, and he gave me the best him, you know. And we had endless amounts of conversations over the phone, you know, leading to shows and just personal, professional, you know. He was there for me, and Gabe's the same. Like, just both of them collectively are just great guys, and what you see in the ring, whether they're good guys, bad guys, and outside of the ring, they're just as nice and just as cool. And yeah, I've got a lot of time.
They're definitely two of the sort of guys. If you're sort of new to the, no pun intended, the business, if you're new and you're an upcomer, they're the sort of guys that you want to compete against. You know, almost I would say as early as possible, because the way I would see it is, you know, not only are you against two veterans who literally know it inside out and that, but they're also probably two of the safest people. You know, you'd be in perfect, great hands with those two.
Correct, yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, like I've never got in a ring thinking, okay, I'm in trouble now. Like, am I going to get out of this alive? Like, also when Gabe's running at you, you do think that, but yeah, they always keep their guys safe. They work like safe workers. They just look after guys, and you know, new guys on the scene. They take time out in the locker room. They take time to go speak to new guys and get to know people, and it's good. Like that's kind of what you really want to build. You want to feel like you're a part of the team, you know, and that's kind of what they give out. So it's really cool. I spent lots of time with them, sitting out the back, talking rubbish, mostly. But the thing is, they don't just ask about me. They ask about my mum, my dad, my family, my nieces, my nephews. You know, because like on the flip side, we're friends. You know, and it's just nice. And that's why I kind of
testament to, you know, I mean, so many people will say it. UKPW in a way it is like a family. You know, no matter even from the guys that you know very well to the ones that you don't know so well, family orientated environment where everyone sort of looks out for each other. Everyone's, you know, it's always like, you know, if there's not been a show, it always feels like a reunion. Everyone catching up, and it's just such a great environment to be around.
That's it.
So going back to obviously when you got into wrestling, where did you first start training? Can you remember when and where?
Yeah, so it was November 2010. I started training at school in Northampton called Rough and Ready. some guys might know him. I trained with a guy called Jem Brown, Mr. Total Extreme. I don't know how many people know him like now, but back then the guys that kind of like 10 years ago, like Anton knows him, Gabe knows him, a few of the other lads in UKPW might know of him, and he was a tough guy. Like, he was strong, tough, and he never let up on me, you know, and he taught me everything I needed to know. And you know, he had other people there helping him train, and a couple of the more experienced wrestlers would come in, and yeah, he just, like, sometimes I'll do a couple of shows here and there, and he's like, "Why are you in the ring? Don't get in the ring yet. I'm not happy." And obviously, step aside. Like, let's wait. And I waited. It was like years and years, and I was like, I really want to get in there. Like, I kept going to all these shows, and like, I kept doing the odd rumble here, and I'd get like 30 seconds in the ring, you know, just for that feel. And I'm like, wow. And I rumbled for like 2 years, and I was just like, oh wow, I really want to wrestle now. I really want to wrestle. And yeah, so like, I did my training, and you know, like, I moved on and just trained with loads of different guys and just learned some different stuff. And coming to UKPW, they were doing like, they do training classes before shows and that. And so I just joined in with them, and kind of that's where I learned a lot more as well, just through a whole bunch of different guys, which is pretty cool. And I just travel around UK, just learning from different schools and stuff. So I never really stuck, after about 4 or 5 years, I never really stuck to one school. I kind of just trained with all different kinds of schools and people. So, and obviously it made me CJ Gunner, I think.
So did you remember your first ever singles match, your first ever proper match, when you were finally allowed to step into other than the Rumble? You remember
I do.
Who your opponent was?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I did. I put a post up there on social media the other week. So it was, I can't remember the year, but it must have been around 2013. But I'm not 100% sure. But it was a singles match at the Hightown Club in Luton, my hometown, and it was against the Blackheart Rudy. He was kind of, he had dreadlocks. He was. I always called him a rip off Shawn Michaels, because his gear was like the Black Heart, and it was like his gear was like Shawn Michaels' gear, and his finishing move was the kick of doom, which was the super kick, like the Sweet Chin Music. So I'm like, come on, mate. And so we did a few Rumble matches, like leading up to my singles match, and I never really knew I was getting a singles match. And the promoter said to me, "Right, CJ, you're going in. You got a singles match tonight against the Blackheart Rudy." I was like, "Oh, wicked! I love this guy." He's from Kettering. He's retired now, unfortunately. I'm not. Obviously, I've tried to get him to come back to wrestling, and you know, because we had a lot of fun. And my first ever match, so I got in there, and he said to me, "He's like, right, CJ, we're going to do this move, do that move. Cool, let's go." And he said, "Right, take a couple of steps in. I'm going to hit you with a kick of doom." Cool. I come flying in, like I was buzzing. I come flying in, too quick. Up come the foot, bang, straight in my bottom lip. Tooth went through my bottom lip, blood everywhere, and I was just like, ah. And there was a segment after where I'd get jumped by a bunch of guys at the end of the match, and they lifted me upside down for a like a pile driver, and I was choking on my blood, and I was like, I literally was just like, let me down. I couldn't breathe, nothing. And they dropped me. They knew what was going on, and then just had to go backstage, wash my mouth out. And a couple of lads, like, I always remember that. My family were there. All my family were there cheering. I was just there bleeding, teeth hanging out my face. It was. I'm thinking, wow, what a way to learn wrestling.
Yeah, well, yeah. Welcome to the business, CJ.
I was like, welcome to the business. So, yeah.
Not only did you get to have your debut match like that, but you actually got to draw. You got legitimate drawing blood on your pretty much your debut. That's insane.
It was yeah. No, I don't think I've ever forgot that moment. It's almost as if it was yesterday, and for some reason I feel like it was my favourite moment. But when I watched the match back, I don't really post it online because it was an awful match. But Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed doing it. All the same, picking my teeth out of the sink backstage. It's all right. So,
Oh dear, that's mad. So, go back to UKPW. I mean, obviously, we're aware there's some changes. We got a women's division finally. We're
great.
getting we're getting a women's division. You know,
Maybe I can win that one.
Pardon?
Maybe I can win that belt.
He can't do some sort of Santino Morella thing, the cross-dressing thing. What would you? That'd be if you was going to dress up in drag and pretend to be a female. What name would you think? What name do you think you'd give yourself?
I don't know. Buttercup, CJ Buttercup.
CJ Buttercup. We'll have that trending. We'll see that. I'll tell you what. We're gonna when we get back to doing shows, I'm gonna get a match. We're gonna get one of your matches when you're doing it. Get the commentary. I'm gonna name drop CJ Buttercup, and that. And we're gonna see where that goes. Actually, I'd actually pay to see that.
Well,
I would pay. I would pay to see that.
A lot of money.
So, is there anyone on the roster that you've not faced yet that you have thought to yourself, you know, I really, really want to hang with you in the ring. I really want to see, you know, what we could do together. You know, is there anyone you've really wanted to face that you've not quite competed against properly?
Do you know what? I've never really thought about it like that.
Okay.
There is one guy I've never wrestled in UKPW. Surprisingly, is my tag team partner, Buff Broadside. Say we've ever wrestled each other in all the time we've been friends or foes. I'd like to do something with him if I'm honest. Maybe I could take his inter-regional title.
Well, we'll see. Well, I'm sure UKPW management will be watching this, so you never know.
Buff will be watching it. I'm sure Buff's got a completely different opinion on that matter.
the mouthpiece is always wanting to see friends face off against each other. You know, I just think it's always nice to see a little bit of a friction grow sometimes between friends when one gets the upper hand over.
He's just too lovable, and his hugs are just too warm. So
he is. Everyone, this is the thing. I know I'm a complete arrogant SOB sometimes, and I get called out on it. But I'd make my love for Buff Broadside known. There's something you just can't dislike the guy. You can't hate him. He's just
because I believe I was not being biased, but I refereed his inter-regional title match, and I didn't have a clue what was going on, and he started running around the ring.
I didn't have a clue what was going on. It was like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like change all the time, like.
And I was like. And I generally inside I was like, okay, I need to be like neutral. I can't cheer like mad, and I just wanted to get in there and just like start going nuts that he won, because I know he'd wanted it for so long, and he had his knee injury, and he come back, and you know, and he tried so hard to be the inter-regional champ for so long, and you know, he held the tag titles with Buff Vegas, and you know, I just thought the inter-regional kind of like. It did him good, man, and he never got to defend it.
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
That's one of the good things as well. Is at the moment all title holders are going to remain holding the titles when we relaunch. So he should get the opportunity to defend it. Whether or not it will still be called the Inter-Regional Championship, we don't know. But yeah, I mean, one thing as well I noticed about Buff as well, when he came back from his injury and he started competing again, and that he just seemed so much quicker in the ring.
Yes. I know he was working out, and I know he lost a few pounds, and I think he just wanted it more when he come back. Like, I think
you could tell.
The same as anyone that's kind of been in the business for a period of time. Once you're away from it, you want it more. Like this whole lockdown thing, everyone wants it more, and that now. And I just think that was he. You know, he worked for that, and he deserved it. Do you know what I mean? In my eyes, whether we were tagging together or he was doing his single stuff, which he'd done a lot of single stuff in between us tagging, and I was happy for him, you know. And I was like, cool. I was happy doing what I was doing, and you know, like I said, I suffered with my neck injury, so I was doing a bit of reffing, and he was injured. I was injured at the same time, so he was announcing, I was reffing, and we kind of stayed relevant, as I like to word it. So we were still around the fans, and the fans still knew who he was, and being CJ the referee, kind of sometimes I'm going out to the show and the crowd's cheering for me rather than the wrestler that's about to come out. So it's like, oh, here we go. You just kind of have to roll with it and smile when you need to.
Definitely. Is there anyone that's not in UKPW? If UKPW management said to you, give us a name that you would love us to sign, that would be realistic. Who would it be? Who would you say? Who would you give your your suggestion?
As some people know, I do currently run a wrestling promotion myself.
Yeah, that was going to be my next. Yeah, we'll get on that. Yeah, that was going to be my next.
So I know quite a few guys, and like who I personally would want on my side. But a guy that's really changed his game and like changed the way he looks, everything is Kyle Kingsley. I believe he's from Nottingham. I should do my homework to be sure on that. But I believe he's around Nottingham, and I've only really seen him at Sacrifice Pro Wrestling. I think he was the champion, or is the current champion there. I should do my homework again, like I said. But I watched him wrestle Maverick Mayhew in 2019, and it was my favourite match of the entire year. Like, whether that was in WWE or anywhere on live TV, it was my favourite match to like this day. And I was like, right, I need to get this guy on board. This guy's good, and he's just a genuine nice guy. Like, just speaking to him, I was going over to Sacrifice, checking him out, and just to watch him, scouting him, and nice guy. And if UKPW can get him on board, I reckon it'd be a great asset to the company. So
well, judging by that, I think that was a really good way of selling him to us. I mean, I'd quite like to see the guy in action. Hopefully, UKPW management will take note of that, and we may see him in a minute. But yeah, I mean, what you mentioned in Maverick Mayhew, I mean, it's not very often you see a Maverick Mayhew match and you don't like in the end, applaud, because Maverick Mayhew matches are usually always at least a 4 to 5 star most of the time.
And guys are young as well. Like,
yeah, I mean, one of my personal favourites, and I don't get to speak about it very often, but someone I've mentioned it on commentary before. I'm a massive fan of Connor Mills. I just think the guy is just absolutely phenomenal.
So Connor Mills, I remember him because when he started training and stuff, I kind of saw him in the background, because I was already in wrestling and that, and he came along. And I watched him train and watched his progression, and I'm like, "Rah, what this guy can do, man!" I'm like, "Wow, I never really saw anyone like fit into the business so quick, and just the stuff he's able to do off the top rope and on the mat, is just phenomenal." And then him teaming up with Maverick, and the two of them together, I'm like, "Wow, these guys are going to be stars!" Right?
They had that amazing match at Progress, didn't they? Which had a few quite well-known names actually tweeting about, actually referred to him. I think it might have been Zack Sabre Jr. I think it was who it was either him or Will Ospreay. One of them two quoted Maverick Mayhew and Connor Mills to be the future of British wrestling after they had their match at Progress. I remember. So I can't remember which one of those two it was that made that comment, and I remember watching it and thinking, how lucky we are to see them two on a more regular basis and be able to work with them, call their matches, referee their matches, like what you've done, even be able to have the opportunity to share the ring with them. But one thing I love about Connor Mills is when he shows that little bit of on some matches, he shows that little bit extra aggression in some of his matches. I love that side of him. I think that guy's a future world champion.
The thing is, he's not even the biggest guy, and some of the shots he takes in the ring, I'm just like, wow, that guy's like, he's a tough guy, and like seeing where he came from to where he is now, I'm like, wow, this guy's yeah, he's good. He's good. What can we say? Like, the guy's good. And
phenomenal.
whether everyone likes him or doesn't like him, they can't deny his talent, you know. He's a good guy.
We have been blessed over the years, though, with some of the fantastic high-flying talent. You know, we've had people like Scott Starr, for example, who sadly retired before, way too early, unfortunately. But we've been blessed with some fantastic high-flying talent over the years, and that's one thing that I've always loved about UKPW is whether it be, like Red Eagle or, as I said, Scott Starr, Maverick Mayhew, Connor Mills, for example. We've been blessed with some absolutely phenomenal high-flying talent. And, and it goes to show you don't have to be the biggest of guys to, make such a huge impact.
Yeah. I agree. Like, I remember one time when I was the smallest guy and now I'm not the smallest guy and I see all these high-flying guys come in, like the Mavericks and the Mills and like Red Eagle, and I'm just like, wow, like these guys are tiny. Like when I was growing up, it was like the big muscly Hulk Hogan wrestlers, and now really like wrestling's changed like over time, and you don't have to be that guy anymore.
Well, it's relevant when we say about how, like you were saying back in the day when it was all like the big guys like Hogan and everything like that. Typical American wrestling was basically mainly the big guys. I mean, I remember it was also said, I think it was on the documentary, I think it was The Rise and Fall of WCW. They were talking about guys like Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho, Dean Malenko, Rey Mysterio and all that, about they would have the best matches of the night, but most of the fans and that weren't paying attention to them because it was all about the big guys and the NWO and all that lot. And it was like, the best wrestling matches weren't being looked, weren't getting everyone's full attention and things like that. And I always found that quite a crime on the business on some ways. You got these guys literally taking more risks, doing more and more to entertain, and they're not getting the exposure they deserve.
100%. Like, there's been once or twice, maybe 3 times. I'm not going to push myself that much, where I've been in some really cool matches, and I'm like, but because that guy's over more than I am, he's getting all the recognition, and I'm like, wow, like I went out there, I'm not. It doesn't happen often, but I've been out there and I've had probably like one of the best matches of the night, and I'm like, wow, just because he's more popular, he gets all the recognition. Like, what do I get? Nothing. I'm like, oh wow, it is disheartening sometimes. And I've seen it happen to many guys. I'm like, how are you not getting that reaction? Like, what you just went out there and done, and for them fans, and you didn't get that reaction. That kind of, it's heartbreaking sometimes, And these guys take their real lives to put on these shows, and not getting that recognition sometimes it's disheartening for some people. And like, I've been there in the past, so I know how it feels. And that's but that's wrestling for you.
It is. Sometimes it's also about having the option, over time, building that rapport with the fans and everything, getting them to be more familiar with who you are. So let's go on to what we was going to discuss. The other promotion in your life, which you run, Red Star. Tell us a little bit about Red Star. What's the future of Red Star? What can we expect?
So Red Star Wrestling was kind of like, I had a little brainwave. I was like, I think I might try a different route in wrestling. I had my own ideas, and I had, like working alongside Anton and that on shows, and I'd work like on the merch table and stuff like that, and I could see how he speaks to guys and how he talks to guys, and I built up my own group of friends in wrestling, which I use for my shows, and I use guys from my local area as well. Because as most people probably know, I'm probably the furthest away from UKPW shows. So I'm all the way in Luton, and UKPW is all the way up, like over in Gillingham, and I probably travel the furthest out of everyone there. So not knowing the area, and it's kind of like bringing my guys and some of their guys over. It's my way of blending 2 areas of wrestling together with Red Star, and using guys from UKPW, guys from Sacrifice Pro, and a couple of other guys around this way. And Red Star was. Everyone asked me why do you call it Red Star. It was kind of like I like the color red. My ring gear is red, and I wanted something generic. I was like, why not a star? Just why not a star? It doesn't really. It means something to me, but probably not so much other people. You know,
I mean, the word star is kind of synonymous with wrestling back in the old days. You know, a lot of promotions that weren't like the biggest promotions, but a lot of them, like the indies back in those days, they would always have the word star somewhere around about, you know, in the name or something linked to it. You know, so yeah. I always think it's almost like a little bit of a throwback to those days.
Yeah, no one's really said that, but yeah, I kind of agree with you in a sense. So I always kind of wanted. See, it was kind of, I talked about having like Luton Pro Wrestling because my shows are held in Luton, where I'm from, where I live, and I was going to have something like Luton Pro Wrestling or Luton Culture Wrestling and stuff like this, and I was like, no, I don't want that because that means that then I'm just stuck in one place, you know, like it's Luton Pro Wrestling. I can't go to St Albans or Watford or, you know, if it gets to that stage where I can expand and move further out. But unfortunately, I've tried to put out as much stuff as I can for my promotion, and unfortunately, I've only had like one big show, and obviously I was due to do a second show, and lockdown happened 3 days before I was due to do my show. So obviously it kind of put us back, and going forward, at the minute we're unsure. I've got a venue locked in. I have I'm potentially have shows throughout the whole year, just obviously when we're allowed to do them again, and whether.
So it's a question of when is that going to be that golden date where we're going to finally be told, you know, we can try and, you know, have all our freedom back, and we can start, you know, getting some bit of normality back in our lives. You know, I mean, the government are apparently saying it's going to be around about Easter time, you know, spring. So, which is what, around end of March, April time.
Yeah.
So it's almost as if saying if you've got anything booked up or in the pipeline for after April of next year, you're probably going to be safe and it'll happen. Anything before then, it's going to be a little bit still hit and miss. So, but yeah, no, fingers crossed. Definitely gonna have to come and check Red Star out when you do get up.
Come along, because my current champion is Alexander Roth, and I also have a wildcard champion who I lost a match to Gabriel Myers, funnily enough, and he's my wildcard champion. So,
Gabe.
So yeah, so the UKPW boys are involved. So anyone that wants to come along, you'll probably know half the guys on my roster. So,
that'd be even better. Even better. Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, we've it's gone on for a bit longer than I thought, which has been great because I've really enjoyed this interview. CJ, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. I've enjoyed it.
Can't wait.
I learned more stuff about me, I think.
Well, there you go. That's even better. If you can help you guys learn more about yourselves, then even better. But yeah, it's been fantastic to speak to you.
Great.
Fingers crossed we get to be able to have a show soon.
100%.
We need to get back to it.
I know, definitely, most definitely.
I wish you all the best for the rest of the lockdown. I'll see you soon, my friend. And
take care, mate.
Yeah, and we'll speak to you soon. So, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only. He's a jack of all trades, master of
none.
Good save. CJ Gunner.
See you later, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.